Hello everyone, welcome to TechTud again. In this tutorial, we will be learning data types in SQL. So, I think I need not to explain what is data type, we all understand. So, we have to understand what are the data types basically allowed in SQL. Okay, so before we go and create database and store values in it, we have to understand what kind of values we can store. Okay, so in this lecture, we will be learning all these kinds which we can store. So this is basically a highly informative tutorial, but for the sake of completion we have to learn this. We have to note down the database, the data types which we can store, and basically we need not to remember all. I also don't remember all of them except 3 4 which I regularly use, for example varchar, int. Okay, so let's learn this one by one. So the first one, we will start with numeric data type. So under numeric data type we have int as our first data type, and int stores integer. Okay, so it stores integer. And what is the range it can store? So it can store minus 2147483648. I'm copying this value from my notebook. 2. You need not to remember this. Okay, so this is the range of integer which we can store in this data type. Okay, the next one is small int. So let's say I have to store small numbers, then we need not to waste spaces by creating this integer data type. Okay, so we can create small int. Again it will store integer, but the range will be less, so that is it can store 32768 plus 32767. Fine. So if we have to store even small numbers, we can go for tiny int. So it is called tiny int. Again it stores integer, and it will store value, only positive value, 0 to 255. Similarly, we also have bit data type. So it stores one bit, that is either 0 or 1. Okay, so it will store 0 or 1. So let's write it 0 to 1. Fine. We have another data type that is numeric, and it stores precision specified by users, and this is the range for numeric. Another data type is float, which stores floating point numbers, and it will store number minus 1.79e plus 3082, this one. So this is basically hexadecimal representation. And we also have real number. So real will again store floating point numbers and double precision for floating point numbers. Okay, and the range is again much larger than this, so that is minus 3.0. So these are data type to store integers or numbers. Now we have other data types to store characters. Character data types. So in character we have char. Okay, so it stores maximum 8000 characters, but it will vary from OS to OS. It will vary from, it will be machine dependent. Similarly, we have varchar here, varchar, in varchar we can specify, even in character we can specify the number of characters to be stored. In varchar we can specify the number of characters to be stored, but in both the difference is like this one will use dynamic memory allocation, okay, and it will be more space wise efficient, okay. So and this will use static memory allocation, okay, but this will be faster, okay, because it uses static memory allocation. Fine. So which one we should use in a case when we know that the number of characters going to be stored in a particular field is this much, that is we know the number of characters to be going to be stored, okay. If the number of characters are fixed, then we use char. And if it is variable, so let's say I'm storing comment by user, so that comment may vary from few characters to thousands of characters. Somebody can just write very good, okay, somebody can write a long comment, so that will there varchar will be a good idea because it will take less space. Fine. So that's how we use varchar. We have another important data type, that is date and time. So under this we have first data type as date time. Date time. Fine. So this one will store date time, of course. So this will store date in this format, for example January 31st 1984, something like this, okay. Now we have another data type, that is date. So date will store date in like this, January 26 1988. Time is a data type which stores time. For example, it will store like 12:30 p.m., something like this, okay. Now the last one is most important and most widely used. I always use this data type to store date time, so that is timestamp. Timestamp basically combines date and time in form of numbers, okay. So it will combine date and time in form of numbers, okay. So this is most convenient to use. Basically what it does is it was, I guess, January 1st 1970, okay. So from January 1st 1970 it starts counting seconds, okay. So when you see a timestamp value, it will be something like 1 2 8 4 6 7 3 4 5, something like this will be stored, okay. And then it says number of seconds from January 1970. Now with reference to this value, which is called basically something Unix starting point or something. So from here it counts the number of seconds. So from this reference you can determine what is the time it has stored, okay. So that's how timestamp works. Fine. So this was all about data type. Maybe this lecture was quite boring, but we have to understand it, and mainly we have to remember integer data type, which stores integer, and in case of small integer we will use small int, okay. And float data type, of course, if we have to store big numbers. Then char and varchar we just learned, and this one timestamp, okay. So these are widely used. Apart from it, bit is also used. Others are also used depending upon the designer's choice. So that's all for this lecture. In next lecture we will be learning data definition language, okay. So hope to see you in the next lecture. Thanks for watching.